Snautra aure mazda Hashem vahu vahishte masti Ushtaste Ushtahamai yatashai vahishtai Hashem Baname ahura mazda. To think a good thought, to speak a good word, to do a good deed is righteousness. Happiness comes to those who live with the consciousness of righteousness. And with that sentiment, ladies and gentlemen, this is Meher Amal Saad and welcome to Ba-Humata, a program designed to build oneness with the consciousness of righteousness in humanity. The goal is not to grow the plant but to plant the seed for each one of us to blossom with our own love, light, grace, joy and peace. So sit back, relax, and get ready for this very special journey to enlightenment. And as you do, please join me in giving a warm Zartushti welcome to our very own Zartushti neuroscientist from United Kingdom, Dr. Karishma Koka.
Thank you, my dear Baba Meher, for that kind introduction. Welcome everybody to this program called Ba-Humata, which means with good thoughts, where we aim to share the messages of Asho Zarathustra, which are timeless, time-tested, and applicable to all challenges to convert them into opportunities to grow. It is a great pleasure to have today with us a very enlightened panel of speakers and people who have actually empowered others and brought to life the messages of Asho Zarathustra Sahib. While this program is being recorded so that everyone can share it in the best way we know how to build hakma of friendship that grows and strengthens us together with love and appreciation, it is dedicated to Ahura Mazda and Asho Zarathustra. It is based on conserving and sharing the knowledge in the prayers and the principles and the practice of the Zarathushti Daina, so that we honor our priests and our knowledgeable elders. These are the fundamental two principles. We also aim to build a bridge of communication between the elders and the youth to build that empowerment that is built on dialogue and knowledge so that we get good leadership of Bahukshetra for the good of all. And together we can build with good thoughts of Ba-Humata, fellowship, world peace, happiness and prosperity for all. My gratitude to my grandfather, Yazad Sahib Noshirvanji Pestanji Pantaki, and his grandfather, Yazad Sahib Pestanji Noshirvanji Pantaki, the late Pantaki of Sir J.J. Agyari in Pune. Gratitude to our guiding light, Mabed Meheraban Firuzgari in Iran, and to my guiding friend, the Ravanshad, Mobed Sahib Soli P. Dastoor. To my mentor and facilitator, Mr. Meher Amal Saad, for support to Mr. Naushad Dadrawala, and for support and technology and all the recordings to Mr. Yazdi Tantra of Zoroastrians.net, and for inspiration to Mr. Rohinton Munshi.
Whatever. From Dada.
And as my mummy says, gratitude to our Ervat Sahib Ramyar Karanja of the prestigious Dadar Athornan Madrasa for advising and guiding us and teaching me. Gratitude also to all the associations in the world, which like my association here, the ZTFE, acts as an oyster in which a small grain of sand can develop new ideas and grow further, including to our President, Mr. Malcolm Debu, Mr. Rusi Dalal, and our Mobed Sahibs, including Ervat Sahib Yazad Bhadha, our resident priest, Ervad Jimmy Madan, Yazad Unwala Sahib, Ervad writer, Bhedwar, and Ervad Vajiftar. For encouragement to Mr. Darais Potel and the family of Dr. Firoz and Mrs. Kerman Munshi, and to all our Shavans, including my parents, who guide us and help us. In our previous session, we've had 4 very, very enlightening talks to build a nature and understanding of humanity. Today, our talks are on choice with wisdom, Yasnaha 30.2 and related prayers. I'll stop there and we will invite our respected Vada Dasturji Khurshed Dastoor Sahib to bless us and inspire us. Vada Dasturji Sahib, over to you, please.
Yatha huvayo atharatu shashatha chitacha Vange hush dazda maningo shatananam Hange hush mazdai Shatrim cha ahurai aim Tre gopyo tatat vastarem Yanim mano, yanim vacho, yanim shotem ashono zaratushre Framesas penta gathau gerwain Nemove gathau ashoni Hashem vahu paistemasti Ushta amai Yat ashai vahistai Hashem.
Thank you very much, Vada Dasturji Sahib.
What's happened?
Vada Dasturji Sahib, please unmute yourself again. And then after you complete your benediction, I'll give a brief introduction to you for our audience.
With the open hands and an open mind. Today, since our topic is of choice of wisdom, we seek the blessings of Zarathustra with the initial paragraph of the first Gatha. It's a prelude to the Gathas. The prayer which I said right now, Yanim Mano, Yanim Vacho, Yanim Shotnem, Ashono Zarathustra. With that, we start our session today. Thank you very much.
Our gratitude, Vada Dasturji Sahib. Thank you for your blessings and your leadership, which the world looks to in these difficult times and at all times. It is my great honor to bring to us today Vada Dasturji Sahib, arranged by Meher Amal Saji, to give us a benediction and guidance and leadership so that in these times of challenge, we can actually grow further. And Vada Dasturji Sahib has come on this program with very short notice, and we are grateful to him for this. This introduction, composed by Baba Meher, talks to us about how Vada Dasturji has served the community. He's a proponent of world peace and serves as the honorary president of the World Council for Religions of Peace, and was initiated in 2002 as the High Priest of Shriji Pak Iran Shah Atash Behram in Udvada, and of the Zoroastrian community the world over. Dasturji Sahib Khurshed Dastoor was initiated as a Sampurna priest. That means a complete priest at the very tender age of 12. He completed his religious education at the Dadar Athornan Institute, the very prestigious institute in Mumbai, and his academic education at the Dadar Parsi Youth Assembly High School. He has performed higher liturgical ceremonies at Iran Shah Sahib Atash Behram since the young age of 16. As part of his religious and spiritual duties, he delivers lectures on the Zoroastrian religion, the Daina, and its history, and makes presentations all over the world. He's actively involved in representing our Zartushti community and its many issues at national and international level. He also addresses social and community issues with vast community members of varied age groups, all the way from children and youth and adults in India to North America and the elderly. He has also delivered an address at the Jewish Synagogue in New York on the comparative aspects of Zoroastrianism and the Judaic religions. Vara Dasturji Sahib Khurshed Dastoor was felicitated by the mayor of the city of Houston in Texas, US, by declaring September 9th, 2016 as Dasturji Khurshed Dastoor Kekobad Dastoor Day at a glittering ceremony conducted at the Zartushti Heritage and Cultural Center in in Houston. In December 2015, 2017, and 19, Vara Dasturji Sahib was instrumental in planning and holding mega biannual event, the Iransha Udvada Utsav at Udvada, wherein a large number of Parsi and Irani Zoroastrians, aggregating about 4,000 in number, gathered from all around the world to celebrate and enjoy our rich and diverse Zoroastrian culture. Furthermore, he has actively served as the Zoroastrian member of the National Commission for Minorities for the Government of India, thus the president of Udvada Atornan Anjuman and Udvada Samasta Anjuman, the president of the Damanwala Charitable Dispensary Udvada, the president of the St. P.P. Mystery High School, and the president of the Atornan Mandal, which manages the Dadar Atornan Institute, and has also served as a chairman of the Foundation for the Development of Udvada, taking it to new heights. Vara Dasturji Sahib has also been featured at the inauguration ceremonies of the 5th World Zoroastrian Congress in London in 2005 and the 6th World Zoroastrian Congress in Dubai in 2009, and has also numerous national and international honors to his credit. Furthermore, in October 2021, he also featured in the opening ceremony of the World Parliament of Religions and led the world in a time of great difficulty towards peace. With that distinctive honor, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our very own Dasturji Sahib, Vara Dasturji Khurshed Dastoor, with a warm Zartushti welcome. Hama Zor, Hama Ashobad. Over to you, Dasturji.
Okay, done. Am I audible? Sorry. Okay. My dear Zartushtis, today we are going to be enlightened on choice with wisdom. I thank you all for inviting me once again to another episode of Ba-Humata. You people at Ba-Humata are doing a fabulous job keeping the community religiously enlightened by introducing varied and various topics for discussions. The selected topic for the day is choice with wisdom. A wise play of words used, I must say, to give a controversial subject, freedom of choice, a different but very refreshing perspective. The phrase of freedom of choice is reflected in quite a few places in the Gathas and in other scriptures, emphasizing its importance as one of the basic concepts of Zoroastrianism. The interpretation of this term, freedom of choice, has led many to brand Zoroastrianism as a religion of convenience because it has been misrepresented in ways to suit one belief system. But today I wish to deliver to the audience a more realistic interpretation of the term freedom of choice or choice with wisdom and its application in a Zartushti's way of life. I have in most of my talks repeated myself by saying that the Gathas are the fundamentals on which the Zoroastrian principles, code of conduct, ethics, etc. are built upon. The Gathas are divine hymns or the prophetic vision received by Zarathustra. They are essentially a communication between Zarathustra and Ahura Mazda, whereby Ahura Mazda ordained Zarathustra a prophet, a spiritual leader of mankind. Zarathustra, through his poetic ingenuity, delivered the message of Ahura Mazda to mankind. It requires me to continuously stress the fact that the concepts explained in the Gathas and on which our good religion is based upon eludes time, and they are universally applicable to all of mankind. The principal concepts stressed in the Gathas are monotheism, the cosmic law of Asha, freedom of choice and its consequences, a healthy conscience, dualism, humanity, equality, preservation of the environment, happiness, and selfless service. These basic teachings of the Gathas guide one to make life worth living by developing a good conscience, by radiating happiness, and ultimately by advancing towards coming closer and becoming one with Ahura Mazda. The many principles as stated by Zarathustra in the Gathas are unarguably the most rational ones and are very relevant even today. Today we are here to discuss one of these concepts, the concept of freedom of choice or choice with wisdom, and particularly as stated in Yasna 30.2. Freedom of choice is modern terminology, coined maybe a century or two ago, but this expression is not new to those who have followed the teachings of our great prophet Zarathustra. Times have changed drastically since the era in which Zarathustra illuminated the minds of his followers. Though there has been a massive shift in the way of life of then and now, in more ways than we can count, the essence of his teachings has continued to influence many a philosopher and thinker and are as pertinent today as they have been then. One of the many examples of this would be to showcase that his teachings included individual and social human rights, regardless of gender, race, and nationality, that too approximately more than 3,500 years ago. What is it that does Yasna 30 entails, which has caught the attention of many? Well, Yasna 30 is a chapter that has an explanation of how the entire creation of good and evil was brought forth, and also what place does good and bad occupy in our lives. It says that each one must decide for himself what moral choice he or she is ready to make. The literal meaning of what Ahura Mazda tells Zarathustra in Yasna 30.2 is as follows. Listen with your ears most attentively and ponder with a bright mind. Consider clearly what is said. Choose before deciding, man for man, each for himself, before this great new age is ushered in. Each one of you awaken to this message. The inference made from these lines is that freedom of choice is given to every person, but a good choice is made by weighing the options, considering them with a bright, clear, and unprejudiced mind. And this is done with what we call wisdom. And here is where choice with wisdom fits in. Wisdom develops with acquisition of knowledge, with patience, and with the blessings of Ahura Mazda and Ba-Humata. The ability to use the learned knowledge is the best and most ethical way is wisdom. Knowing how to use the knowledge is wisdom. Knowledge can be given, but wisdom cannot. Knowledge can be gained, but wisdom has to be attained or acquired. It is very significant to note that in the era in which Zarathustra composed the Gathas, he had understood that the human mind is responsible for the human conduct. The human mind is a gift to mankind by the Creator. It has amazing ability to choose between the good and evil, right and wrong, light and darkness. The capability to differentiate between the binary opposites is the marvel of a human mind and is termed as Ba-Humata, good mind. Justice Rohinton Nariman in his book Inner Fire has very aptly conjugated that human beings are apart from the animal creation in this one aspect, the ability to think. It is also because an animal cannot light, kindle, or put out a fire. Fire is the symbol of moral choice par excellence. So a human being, by using his conscience, both lights and kindles his inner fire, and by ceasing to use his conscience, puts it out. Eventually, it sums up to mean that a choice made with wisdom will lead to a life of asha, and a choice made without its use will lead to a life not worth living. Ba-Humata, or a good mind, is a product gained by making use of one's conscience coupled with intelligence, knowledge, and past experience to be able to make the right decision. We would like to refer as a choice with wisdom. The development of this insightfulness is mastered through devotion, moral education, a desire to achieve perfection and be one with Creator, Aura Mazda. There is no mention of a prescribed syllabus for moral education found in any of our scriptures. What Zarathustra preached was not to be accepted by force, but by understanding the truth behind his message. There are no commandments or laws governing what to do and what not to do. In fact, I would think rules and formulas would hinder one's innate ability to apply reason and think for oneself. The Gathas are teachings on what is good and what is righteous. The choice of whether to lead a righteous life is left to each one's free will. Free will does not mean doing what you wish to do without taking into consideration the consequence of one's action, explained as Akem Akai Vanguim Ashim Vangave in Yasna 43.5. Good to good, evil to evil. Therefore, freedom of choice involves choice with wisdom. The concept of choice with wisdom is further elaborated in Yasna 31.12, where one is advised to use freedom of expression. Here Zarathustra says that every person, whether true or false, enlightened or not, should express their thoughts freely and consult spent armity when in doubt. Spent armity is always willing to help when in doubt. The interpretation of this statement is that everyone is at liberty to make tough conscious choices. Yasna 45 clearly warns people to use their discretion so that they are not misled by the false teachings of evil teachers, whom Zarathustra called wolves disguised as lambs. People are given the freedom to choose their leader calmly with wisdom. Zarathustra in Yasna 31.10 says that an evil leader with a sharp memory who pretends pity shall never rule. Our very basic prayer of Yathahu touches upon the principle of choice. In order to bring peace, prosperity, stability, progress, and happiness to the living world, people are asked to select a Ratu, or a wise spiritual leader, or a competent person who will lead the people towards the path of righteousness. A worthy and wise leader chosen by the people is a boon and a reward for the righteous people who make the right choice. With it comes progressive peace, true happiness, and best intellectual activities. Zarathustra calls this an ideal government, the chosen dominion of Kshatravairya. It is the responsibility of every person to strengthen such governance. Taking into account the teachings put forth in the Gathas, it becomes very interesting to summarize that Zarathustra advises followers. Number one, select his or her path and accordingly his or her destiny in Yasna 30. Number 2, elect or nominate a ruler in Yasna 31. And number 3, in Yasna 53.3, he has advised one to choose a worthy and correct spouse. All 3 important decisions are choices one has to make with wisdom. I have saved what Zarathustra has said in 53.2 for the last, because in the shortest possible way, he says, all that one needs to know, and that is, let all strive with thought, word, and deed to satisfy Aura Mazda. Let each one choose all deeds of goodness as true worship of Aura Mazda. My concluding remarks are a reflection of what I believe about us being Zaratushtis. I would like to believe that we Zoroastrians are truly the chosen ones. We have outlived extermination. We have endured banishment from Persia, our own ancient homeland. We have survived being Zoroastrians, even in face of our religious scriptures being destroyed. And we have survived only because we are blessed that we were given refuge in this sacred land of India. We are blessed that the profound gathas and some other scriptures remain untouched, so that we had guidelines that gave us a format by which we could live and thrive. But my dear fellow religionists, I think it is time we realize the reality that a Zoroastrian is not only one who is born into the religion, but one who breathes and lives as a Zaratushti. Let us make every effort to pass on the message of Zarathustra by living by its tenets and setting live example for future generation to absorb, so that the ancient glory of this religion we are so proud of is restored. Here, I am reminded of the inspiring and humbling words of Annie Besant. She had said that she dreams of a day when the breath of the great prophet Zarathustra shall sweep again through his temples and fan the flames from the heavens above, making the Iranian religion once more what it ought to be, a beacon of light for the souls of men, one of the greatest religions of the world. Atazamiyad, Atafrina. Thank you.
Okay.
Bada Dasturji Sahib, our deepest gratitude to you. Thank you. The message was so profound and so applicable to everything from leadership to governance to entrepreneurship to individual life to healing the world to the concept of migration and refugees to transition through time, that I'm going to give our audience a few seconds to just take it in and make it your own. This is why Ba-Humata is called the program of prayer with action, leadership, and the good of all. Because that is truly what Asho Zarathustra has given us. That applies to every aspect of life, individually and as a collective towards Frasho Keriti. I'm reminded of a phrase that my mom had used in the Parliament of the World Religions, which Bada Dasturji has highlighted, the concept of living it in every breath. And indeed, the concept of the Ushtana Ushta, Asho Zarathustra actually says, I dedicate the very breath of my life to the good of this world. With that, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, a person who actually exemplifies this concept and has led us in the UK and the youth throughout the world and many, many other people, I'm sure, towards better world through the difficult COVID times. And this young, but dynamic Mobed Sahib is our very own Ervad Yazad Bhadha. Today, we are also honoring Ervat Sahib Yazad Bhadha for graciously accepting to be our Ba-Humata Fellowship Ambassador, for which we are very grateful. We express our gratitude to his respected parents and his teachers. Gratitude to all of you. It is my immense pleasure now to read out the introduction that Baba Meher has composed very thoughtfully. This dedicated, committed, and outstanding young Zartoshti Mobed, who is featured today as our Ba-Humata Youth Mobed speaker, is from the United Kingdom and also comes from India. He is presently serving as the secretary on the board of the 2023 8th World Zoroastrian Youth Congress in the United Kingdom and is also the head of the speaker committee. He also proudly represents the Zoroastrian community in the UK at various interfaith meetings and activities with a lot of gusto and enthusiasm. Ervat Sahib Yazad Bhadha is the resident priest of the Zoroastrian Trust Funds of Europe in London and was ordained as a priest at Udvada at the tender age of 13. He commenced his priestly studies at the prestigious Atornan Boarding Institute in Dadar, where he studied under the most able leadership of our very own Ervat Dr. Ramyar Karanjia Sahib. This institute has given us a lot of leaders through time, and we are very, very grateful. Ervat Sahib graduated in 2012 in the field of commerce from the Bairamji Jijiboy College of Commerce, and then completed his master's in commerce 2 years later from the Mumbai University. He joined the ZTFE as a resident priest in 2014. At this point in time, I would also like to give our gratitude to our Vara Dasturji Sahib Khurshed Dastoor for facilitating this process of Yazad Sahib being brought into the ZTFE community, and our president and our trustees and our management committee for giving him the space in which to grow further. Ervat Sahib initially practiced as part-time priest at the Boys Dhana Patel Agyari in Tardev, and then the Shapurji Fakiri Joki Agyari in Godrej Bagh, until November 2014, when he relocated to the United Kingdom to take up a new appointment as a resident priest at the ZTFE. He truly put service before self. So Ervat Yazad serves this community in the UK and Europe in many different ways in times of sorrow and joy. He has supported people through sorrow to grow further. He performs various ceremonies such as the after-death ceremonies, jashans, naujots, weddings, boys, etc. And his day-to-day responsibilities include advising community members on religious matters, conducting naujot prayer classes, school and university visits, participating in interfaith activities, and volunteering as a teacher for the XYZ Children's Fun Club classes. And he does make it fun. In addition to this, Ervat Yazad is the executive member of the Harrow Interfaith and one of the youngest trustees for the Faiths Forum for London. In his own words, Ervat Yazad says, I'll just share the screen so that you can see this yourself, if I may. Ervat Yazad says, from the very beginning, I've been welcomed by the ZTFE and the Zoroastrian community in the UK with open arms, and have been shown a tremendous amount of support and love by all. It has been my privilege to serve the community in both joyous and sad times, and I feel blessed to be able to repay the love and kindness shown to me. Bravo to you, Ervat Yazad Sahib, for your selfless dedication with utmost compassion. In 2015, Ervat Sahib Yazad was awarded the ZTFE Faridun and Meherban Zartoshti Scholarship in Zoroastrian Studies, giving him the opportunity to study for a Master's in Religion of Asia and Africa at the School of Oriental and African Studies in the University of London, and then he graduated in 2018. Ervat Yazad is also an active member of the ZTF Young Zoroastrians community, the committee, and serves as a social event organizer. He's very well balanced. He's also honored to serve as both the Congress Secretary and the head of the Speaker Committee for the 8th World Zoroastrian Youth Congress to be hosted by the ZTFE in 2023 in July. Ervad Yazad Sahib also says, growing up and studying in India, I have observed both similarities and differences in the way our religion is practiced in the UK. And although many of the fundamentals of the religion remain the same worldwide, there are some noticeable differences between life in India and the UK. That is the beauty of diversity, which contributes to unity in community. And we salute you, Ervad Sahib Yazad Bhadha, for embracing the bounty of that diversity. We truly appreciate your valuable contribution to our senior generation and our future generation. With that blessed sentiment, please join me in welcoming our very own Ervad Sahib Yazad Temuraz Bhadha, who's a very promising young Zartoshti Mobed. And, if I may add, a particularly dynamic person who has, during COVID times, gone from funeral ceremony to serving the community, to doing the boy, live streaming it, to preparing talks, well-referenced, delivering them, and then going back on the phone to serve the community through phone calls he receives. And he has done this with a smile on his face, complete sublime calm, and true leadership.
Thank you
Over to
very
you.
much. Thank you very much, Karishma, the brief introduction. Respected speakers, Vada Dasturji Sahib Khurshed, Senator Roshan Bharucha, Mobedyar, Manek Bhujwala, Keshwar Merchant, and my dear Hamdeens. I trust you all are keeping safe and well. Thank you, Karishma Koka, Mayor Amal Sad, and the entire team of Ba-Humata for inviting me for this seminar. As today's session is on choice with wisdom, I have been asked to talk to you about this from a Zoroastrian religious perspective. And during this, I will be referencing certain books and texts written by my teachers, Ervad Dr. Ramyar Karanjia, so as Zarathostri brothers, Professor Almathenze, Ervad Kavasji, Edelji Kanga, Mr. Khojesta Mystery, and Mr. Nasir Dadrawala. Before I start with my talk on the topic, choice with wisdom, I would like to recite a small prayer from the Aunavaiti Gata, Ha 30.2. Shrauta Geushai Shvaishta, Avenata Shuchamananga, Averina Vichitria, Narem Kakyai Tanuye, Paramaziongo, Amai Nesasdiai, Baudantum Paiti. Excerpted from the book of Mr. Khojesta Mystery, Zoroastrianism and Ethnic Perspective. This prayer means, listen with your ears to the best things. Reflect with a clear mind. Man by man for himself. Upon the two choices of decision, being aware to declare yourself to him before the great retribution. Before we go any further, we first need to understand what the definitions of choice and wisdom are and what they mean to us. Choice is the act of choosing something with two possibilities in a state of calm mind. Our prophet Zarathustra in the Gathas stresses that we must make the right choice. By making the wrong choice, we end up on a perilous path to woe. Hence, it is important to always select the righteous path, which should be deduced from using our good mind, which is Ba-Humata. Wisdom is the ability to know what is true or right. Wisdom can be innate or can be acquired by being taught by learned Dastoors, Mobeds, and religious teachers and scholars, as has been the case down the ages. In the Gathas, Yashna 31.8, our prophet Zarathustra makes it clear that our Mazda is wisdom, truth, and light. The application of these two virtues go hand in hand and is continuous in nature. Just because you make the right choice today does not mean you will make the right choice tomorrow. And the same applies in reverse, where a wrong decision may have been made by an individual. This does not mean they cannot learn from their mistakes and make the right decision later. Pahlavi books regard wisdom as the highest virtue. An historical example in our religion is the Middle Persian Handar's literature, including the counsels of Renedar Sahib Adarbad Maraspan, which is a good guide to help us in our daily life. In Zoroastrianism, Vamanameshaspan is regarded as Ba-Humata, which is the good mind. Vamanameshaspan looks after the good and beneficent creation of our Masta, that is, the animals. He represents the first thought of our Masta, which still infuses the universe. He reminds human beings to keep their mind good, pure, and calm, so that peaceful and harmonious thoughts may come, leading them to divine wisdom. Every human being requires wisdom and the spirit of our Mazda, which is Pentamania, to be aware of the good mind. Ba-Humata, the good mind, is our Mazda's gift to human beings, as it helps them determine Ashavahishta, the best truth, allowing them to discern between right and wrong. The combination of Ba-Humata and Ashavahishta helps provide human beings with the strength to implement the goodness of our Mazda in the world. An individual should use the help of their good mind to choose what is right and should always oppose evil. An individual should decide based on the correct information which is gathered from his surroundings on his day-to-day basis and past experiences. However, one can make a wrong decision, for which one must analyze using one's good mind to ensure that the mistake is not repeated. I can think of one example of making a choice using our good mind and wisdom, which happened during the early stages of COVID pandemic. Originally, the Zoroastrian prayers were rarely broadcasted through technical mediums, such as television, social media, etc. However, when the COVID-19 pandemic first started and the entire world was placed in a difficult situation, it was important to be able to reach our Hamdins, to give them comfort and reassurance at the time when many of them felt isolated and alone. Therefore, a choice was made by the ZTFE to live stream all our prayers and ceremonies relating to both joyous and sad occasions. This naturally was a difficult choice, but it was taken for the benefit and well-being of our community, especially to help the most vulnerable and isolated. More importantly, none of the religious laws and requirements were broken while making this choice. Hence, it was a wise choice taken by using wisdom, that is, application of knowledge for the good of humanity. Wisdom is a key Zoroastrian teaching, as the name Ahura Mazda itself means wise Lord. Hence, to have wisdom means to have proper knowledge, which gives powers of reasoning and judgment. Wisdom also implies knowing oneself, one's origins, spiritual inclinations, and the final goal of life. As my teacher, Erva Dr. Ramyar Karanjia, states, wisdom is regarded as the first among the good qualities for human beings. A truly wise human being is one who is acquainted with religion, does not have doubts about the goodness of our Mazda, who completely trusts our Mazda and the Mazda Yasni Zoroastrian religion, and occupies himself in the worship of our Mazda and his creations. According to our Zoroastrian texts, the 5 characteristics of a wise human being are not having anxiety on account of the past, not resorting to wrong means of achieving success, being content with one's achievements, having attainable hopes and dreams, and having a balanced reaction to life's circumstances, that is, not being excessively sad in misery, nor extremely happy in good times. According to the Avesta, spirituality lies in cultivating wisdom to understand the purpose of the world, the role of one's life therein, and steps to fulfill this purpose. One of the main steps to fulfill this purpose is to identify good from evil and truth from deception with the help of wisdom. Acquiring the knowledge of the material and spiritual worlds and then implementing the same in life leads one to wisdom, which contributes to the expansion of consciousness. In the Gathas, Prophet Zarathustra asserts that the path leading to our Mazda is through Ba-Humata. Exercising the right moral choice with the help of the good mind can only take one to close to our Mazda. One should also understand that freedom of choice in our Zoroastrian religion is only between good and evil in life. And then one must be prepared to face the consequences of making the wrong decision, but also must learn from their mistakes. If there was total freedom, then there is no need for prophets and other holy souls to come to this world to teach us human beings the right way of living. I agree, at times, making the right decision can be challenging because of several other factors to be considered. However, we should try to overcome these obstacles by using our good mind, Ba-Humata, thus ensuring that Asha, the best truth, will prevail. Normally, Zoroastrians strive to spread goodness because it is believed that if a person is happy from within, they can spread happiness to others, through which the growth of goodness takes place. We believe that the world is always improving and that the world today is better than what it was yesterday, and the world tomorrow will be better than today, because everybody has the capacity to have good thoughts, say good words, perform good deeds, and make wise choices using their good mind. On this note, I would like to end by saying, Atazamiya Yata Vinami. May it be so as we pray for our Mazda. Thank you.
Thank
It's
you,
a
Eric.
beautiful interpretation.
I agree. A beautiful interpretation given to us in a way that we can accept and internalize. Sometimes I don't know whether we are listening to just Zoroastrianism or the whole knowledge of the world, including science, spirituality, entrepreneurship, and everything from spirituality to action. Something Yazad Sahib actually said makes me remember why his voice is one of my mother's favorite voices for prayers, along with Dasturji Sahib, Khurshed, Dastoor. Because so beautifully, he has already told us what we pray in the Ushma Uzarish Vaura. We say, purify me, show me the light, the right path, Eresho Pato, in the Atashnyas. And how so smoothly he related it to the verse after Yasna 30.2, 30.3, where we say, Ausha Hudango Eresh Vishyata, that discrimination, Vishyata, through the good wisdom, Hudango, between good and evil. Thank you very much, Yazad Sahib Yazad. And thank you to the managing committee, which made these decisions to broadcast the prayers together with your kind self, which really has helped in COVID times. And even now, because this broadcasting, even Yazad Sahib, Mobedyar Sahib Bhandara does this from California. This broadcasting of the prayers is actually working in COVID times to reduce the infection. And therefore, it's a scientific thing, not just to maintain people's health, but maintain their good mind by connecting them with the prayers and connecting them with each other and our Dasturji Sahibs, who give us the knowledge and the Matravani in our ears and our minds. Thank you. Thank you to all the associations around the world that make this possible. I'd like to give gratitude not just to our Mobed Sahibs, but also to our Mobedyars, the assistants to the priests, who go out to distant places where our Mobed Sahibs cannot go. Maybe they are fulfilling duties of boy or looking after the Atash Behrams or the Agyaris. And so in India, we have something called Bedin Pasbans. And in America, we have Mobedyars, the assistants to the priests who sometimes travel hundreds of miles to distant remote places in the absence of a priest. And in the absence of a priest, they are empowered to do certain ceremonies like jashans, like funeral ceremonies, and serve the community. And today we welcome one such senior Mobedyar, Mobedyar Manek Bhujwala. Ladies and gentlemen, with immense joy and respect, I would like to introduce to you our Ba-Humata featured Mobedyar speaker from the United States of America, who has dedicated his life towards promoting the spirit of unity within diversity in humanity. Mobedyar Manek Bhujwala was born in Bombay in India and came to the United States in 1965 as a graduate student. He has a master's degree in engineering, in business administration, and in interfaith action. He has worked as an engineer and manager for many high-tech companies, including on a NASA project. He has co-founded 2 Zartoshti organizations and has served on their boards, and is serving as the overseas director of the World Zoroastrian Organization and serves as a volunteer Mobedyar. He has been with the Greater Huntington Beach Interfaith Council since 2005 and served on its executive committee. He currently also serves on the boards of the Orange County Interfaith Network and the North American Interfaith Network, on the administrative committee of the Center for Religion, Loma Linda University, and the advisory board of the Guiberg Center, Los Angeles. He also gives talks at schools, colleges, churches, and interfaith organizations, radio and television, and has spoken at the Parliament of the World Religions. Thank you very much, Mr. Mobedyar Manek Bhujwala, for sharing the gift of your dedication and commitment towards serving our Zartoshti community as well as humanity. With that sentiment, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm Zartoshti welcome to our very own special and committed Mobedyar from the United States, Mr. Manek Bhujwala. Over to you.
Good morning, everyone from California. Thank you for inviting me and for your kind introduction. In my talk today on Choice with Wisdom, I have referred to Kavasji Edalji Kanga's translations of the Gathas and Khorde Avesta and some of his explanations in my talk. Freedom of choice is a given gift from Aura Mazda when we are born, and there are good and bad consequences from our choices. Most of the individuals and families throughout the world want to have peace and happiness in their life. So we need to make the right choices to get peace and happiness. How do we make the right choices? We need the wisdom to choose what sources of information we should look at and the wisdom to use the knowledge to make informed decisions. Today, with the technology of social media, we are often overwhelmed with information. So knowing where to look for facts and avoid fake news is critical. In ancient times also, there was violence, wars, tyranny of evil rulers, and corrupted religious leaders who supported them, like we have today. Prophets and sages have appeared from time to time to teach people about righteous living, to create peace and happiness in society. Asho Zarathustra was born at a time when evil rulers created suffering with their wrong choices for the common people who cried out for help. Aunvad Gatha, chapter 29, para 1. As mentioned in his Gathas, Zarathustra meditated about the cause of suffering. He listened to his voice of conscience, also known as Sarosha, and asked many questions, directing them to the wise creator, Aura Mazda, and received answers in his mind, which he shared with the people. In his talks to followers, Zarathustra asked them to listen carefully with an open mind, that is, without preconceived inhibitions, then think about what he said to understand his message. Aunvad Gatha, chapter 30, para 2. Ask questions to clarify their understanding and follow that in making decisions in life using freedom of choice, innate wisdom given by Aura Mazda, and acquired knowledge and wisdom that they have learned from him and other wise persons. Zarathustra talked about the opposing forces of good and evil that exist in our material world. Aunvad Gatha, chapter 3, para 1 and 3. That Aura Mazda created all that was good and worked according to certain laws. He taught us what choices are good, such as truth, justice, kindness, love, compassion, honesty, contentment, helping people in need, etc. In our Vispahumta, Vispahukta, Vispahuvrashta passage that we recite after Khurshed Med Nyayesh, we remind ourselves about the law that all good thoughts, good words, and good deeds are produced with good intelligence and wisdom. All evil thoughts, evil words, and evil deeds are not produced with good intelligence. Furthermore, all good thoughts, good words, and good deeds lead the doer to heaven and happiness during his lifetime, as well as at the time of death. There arises a great satisfaction that he spent his life in causing prosperity to the world, in doing good to his own companions, and in rendering help to the poor and needy persons. Whereas all evil thoughts, evil words, and evil deeds lead him towards hell and suffering. Zarathustra asked Aura Mazda, who made the father have love for his son? Ushtavad Gatha, chapter 44, para 7. He gives advice to couples getting married to learn from wise religious people to attain a life of good mind and stay loving to each other. Vahishtois Gatha, chapter 53, para 5. So we need to have love for ourselves our family, our community, and all creations. In order to get the knowledge and wisdom taught by Zarathustra and be reminded of it, we need to read the translations of the Gathas and other passages from our scriptures and understand them. Just as we cannot cook a meal by reading the recipe that is written in a foreign language that we don't understand, so also we cannot learn wisdom by just reciting the Gathas and other prayers in languages we do not know. In our life, we sometimes have to make difficult decisions, balancing different obligations, like, for example, treating animals with kindness, buying higher priced free range eggs at a higher expense, and providing for family expenses and having enough money for the family members. Or another example, choosing necessary life-saving medicines prescribed for us or our family members that have been experimented on animals and caused suffering for them. In that case, we can pray to Aura Mazda and seek his advice from wise persons to help us with ideas to make the best possible choices. In conclusion, let us learn knowledge and wisdom to make the right choices by reading and understanding the translations of the Gathas and daily prayers and create a peaceful and happy life for ourselves and for all other creations of Aura Mazda. In past times, it was difficult to get a book with translations of prayers. When I used to go to Agyaris and Atas Berams every Sunday with my father, I would sometimes look for such books. And luckily, in one Agyari close to our home near the Khetwadi area where we live, I found a book, and that really illuminated me as to the greatness and wonder of our religion. When I looked for the translations of the Gathas and Kordea to buy one of those copies, I had to go to the Bombay Parsi Panchayat, which I think was probably one of the few places where you could purchase such a book. Today, luckily, with the power of internet and with the websites, like, for example, www.avesta.org, we have many of these wonderful books with translations that are available free of charge that you can access. Our learned late Edward Soli Dastoor himself contributed many of the books, and we are so grateful to him and for the person who created this website, who happens to be a Christian person who insisted on becoming a Zarathustri with the high priest of Chicago many, many years ago. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share a few of my thoughts, and good luck to everyone, all the speakers and all the attendees in their lives to make right choices and make a happy life for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mobedyar Manek Bhujwala. Thank you for sharing your guidance and telling us to discuss what now? For the enlightened speech and questions as appropriate from our seniors and elders and wise counsel. Our next speaker today is our young speaker, Keshwar Merchant. While you listen to her, and maybe before you listen to her, if you have questions for our earlier speakers, please start filling the chat box so that they can address your questions in the specific section for questions. And after that section is over, we will take your own shares, your own experiences in what's called the Ba-Humata Bahuman sharing section. All your ideas, your spiritual experiences with your own Dasturji Sahibs and Mobed Sahibs and Agyaris, you can share them. Your spiritual experiences during your own prayers. So now on to our next speaker. Keshwar Merchant is from Canada, and it gives me immense pleasure to introduce this very young, talented Zartushti youth from Canada who has built a career as a creator and storyteller. Keshwar, from a very young age, found herself dedicated to one thing: growth. And she found her life and career to be one full of adventure and learning. Having grown up and being much better with colors and shapes than numbers, she found herself pursuing the creative fields. Her journey began with her formal education studying design and architecture, and from then onward, she found herself charting through graphic design, web design, marketing, and much more. All these experiences gave Keshwar a unique opportunity to build her skill set as a multimedia design person, passionate about creating and crafting experiences that are both beautiful and successful. She created her own studio to create brand and website packages with the sole purpose of offering her clients' dream website to represent themselves and their businesses that would enable them to attract their ideal client. One of the favorite aspects about her career is being a creator and storyteller. She takes an idea, a goal, or an aspiration of a client and transforms them into a delightfully thoughtful design and truly represents them and their business. And with that transformational spirit, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm Zartushti welcome to our very own creative and transformative Zartushti youth and our Ba-Humata featured youth speaker from Canada, Keshwar Merchant. Over to you, Keshwar.
Thank you so much, Karishma, for that beautiful introduction. And I wanted to wish everyone happy Yazad Bhadha, which was just yesterday. And I also wanted to show my deepest gratitude for all of the organizers of the Ba-Humata series and Mayor Uncle for inviting me as a speaker to this enlightened discussion. So when I first heard the theme for today, it got me thinking about my day-to-day life and the decisions that we all make every day and how they are influenced. So I wanted to begin by defining how I perceive today's theme, which is choice with wisdom. Wisdom is the ability we have to use knowledge, understanding, experience, common sense, and insight to make our choices. These elements are joined together by two halves, the first being inner wisdom, which shows up as the fire lit within each of us and guides all of our choices. The second part being the external knowledge that we are nurtured into through our communities and past ancestral wisdom. But I wanted to note that these two go hand in hand, as I believe it's possible to have knowledge, being book smarts or awareness of something without the judgment that goes along with how to use it. And I'd like to share the saying that sums up the difference between knowledge and wisdom well. Knowledge is knowing what to say, and wisdom is knowing when to say it. I've been blessed to have such a beautiful religion, and having been raised in a family and environment where I have been granted the luxury of making my own choices that have an impact on not just myself, but also the world around me. And many of us forget that the act of making a choice is one that is a gift we get to experience. To be able to think with our own mind and learning how to use that inner guidance is truly a blessing. With the recent events of the world going on around us, we can see how even small choices are given value and how much influence goes into these decisions, both for the human world we live in and the beautiful natural world, which we have the power to better impact and heal. When we look at the meaning behind the name of the great Lord Ahura Mazda, we can literally translate that into wise Lord, or take Mazda, meaning wisdom, as Lord of wisdom. And when looking at the great teachings that have been passed down in the form of the Avestan and literatures and the wisdom that we have carried on through generations, we have been able to share those important lessons and pass them down through centuries within our community. I remember as a child being in a Vista class and learning how each word had a meaning and a story behind it, and how in the oldest Zoroastrian scriptures, heaven and hell are not places, but states of the mind that result from right or wrong choices. And we can see how our choices lead to two paths in life. I wanted to speak from the Ba-Humata, which is shown in the Cor de Avesta. So I think it describes it pretty well. And when we translate the first line, Ba-Humata, Ba-Huchta, Ba-Havarishta, Ba-Udavarshta, as every good thought, every good word, every good deed is of wisdom born. And we continue on to the next line, which reads, Vispa Dushmata, Vispa Dushkhuda, Vispa Dusharishta, Noit Baudovarshta, as every evil thought, every evil word, and every evil deed is not of wisdom born. And so through our good words and these choices, we generate wisdom and we spread the positive impact to all those who are around us. And through the power of choice, humans shape their own destiny. And this is why Zarathustra viewed a human lifetime as a fiery test of truth. It's in this life of ours here on earth, with all its temptations and diversions and choices, where we are put to the test. Over the last few years, I have gained a higher awareness, I believe, by reaching inwards through prayer and the act of listening to my inner guidance, which has led me to the wisdom that helps me make the choices I make every day. And I remember as a child how natural it was for me to go and open my Avesta book in my closet and pray when I needed help on getting the good grades I wanted in school or anything else I really required advice on. But as I've grown into adulthood, I've come to understand and use that inner wisdom to create an impact in the good and the troubling times, both. This wisdom that comes from God, I believe, is pure, it's peace-loving, and it's sincere. And with practice, we can all come to nurture that inner light further and understand that all that we have in life is thanks to the wisdom of the past and the choices of your future. Being a youth in the community, I've been enlightened through various discussions when attending the last few congresses, the Zed Games, and even the general events with our own local community. I've seen how many of our discussions take the conversations and lessons from the past and apply that wisdom that's gained from our predecessors to better plan for our future choices and those for the future generations to come. I believe that we can continue to generate more good in this world with our thoughts and actions through that positive influence from both within and around us. It is making that conscious choice to do the right thing, and making that choice leads to a life filled with light and love. And to conclude, I just wanted to thank everyone again today for making the time to appear, and again for the organizers for doing such a splendid job in hosting this event. And I hope that Huramasa blesses everyone, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you.
The leaders of today and tomorrow, taking a leaf out of the book of the leaders of the now and yesterday, so that together we can build fresher Kerala. What a splendid inspirational speech. Thank you, Keshwa. We now move on to a very, very influential, transformational person, our respected Senator Bharucha. I'm very grateful to Baba Meher for putting together this introduction, and to Yazdi Tantra for giving us the video that we will see of the images. We are very blessed today to have a very special keynote featured speaker for our Ba-Humata program. With immense pride and distinctive honor, I would now like to introduce an incredible Zartoshti lady from Pakistan, whose never-ending hope, love, struggle, and hard work has wiped thousands of tears and brought smiles to hopeless faces and justice to the poor, while paving the way for the stranded and reuniting broken families and giving homes to orphans in Pakistan. It is a great pleasure to say that on the March the 23rd, 2022, our honorable respected Senator Roshan Bharucha was also awarded the Sitare-e-Imtiaz by the government of Pakistan for her selfless service and dedication and commitment in the field of social justice. She was also awarded the Balochistan Excellence Award and Lifetime Achievement Award. We salute you on the work that has gone into achieving these great honors and on the honor itself. In 2021, she was awarded the Sitare-e-Imtiaz by the government of Pakistan, at that time for the dedication and service and commitment, and it has continued. The Star of Excellence, Sitare-e-Imtiaz, is the third highest honor and a civilian award in Pakistan. It recognizes individuals who have made meritorious contributions to the security or national interests of Pakistan, to world peace, to cultural or other significant public endeavors. Senator Bharucha is the only Zartoshti woman in Pakistan to hold federal ministries with the distinctive honor to serve as the Federal Minister for Human Rights, Kashmir Affairs, and Gilgit-Baltistan, states and frontier provinces, the railways, and postal services in caretaker capacity. With the spirit of each one, reach one, and teach one, she holds the distinctive honor of being elected as Pakistan's first ever minority senator, who has represented and waved the flag of Pakistan in over 30 countries, including America, India, Bangladesh, Philippines, Thailand, Germany, Switzerland, Iran, Sri Lanka, the Maldives, Turkey, and many more. She's the only Zartoshti in Pakistan who has been elected as both a senator and minister in the federal government. Her sole purpose of entering politics was to serve the needy and promote the youth. The Honorable Senator Roshan Bharucha from Balochistan in Pakistan is the daughter of Mehervanji Irani, a humble farmer. Humble or hardworking or both? Today's farmers and farmers through times have fed us, have nurtured us. So the daughter of Mehervanji Irani, whose paternal grandparents had migrated from Yazd, Iran, to Balochistan in Pakistan in 1885, and her mother is from Gujarat. She was brought up in Quetta and still continues to call it her home today. She graduated with a Bachelor of Arts from St. Joseph's Convent Girls High School and attained a master's degree in English from Balochistan University and a degree in finance and accounting for non-financial executives from Pakistan Institute of Management in Karachi in 1993. Upon graduation at 21, she then fell in love with and married her next door neighbor, a 22-year-old captain in the Pakistan Army, Captain Khurshed Minocher Bharucha. And today happens to be his birthday. After her marriage, she became a Montessori school teacher, and over the next 17 years, as Major Bharucha received new postings, she taught at a variety of schools across Pakistan. And then in 1987, upon his retirement, Senator Roshan Bharucha then joined the International Labour Organization, which is a United Nations agency, as an administrative secretary. She was soon promoted to administrative officer of the ILO's Technical Training Center, which was dedicated to teaching English to Afghani refugees, providing vocational training for women, and protecting human rights. 2 years later, she moved into an administrative role at the GTZ, a German non-profit organization which worked to improve the living conditions of Balochistan's poor. And within a year, she was promoted to become its finance officer. Over the course of 12 years at the GTZ, she helped establish and run 12 training centers and a micro-lending program. And then in 2000, in recognition for her social work, she was selected as caretaker minister in the government of Balochistan, where she played a vital role in shaping the positive image of the local community by uplifting the domain of education. And most of the iconic public figures of policy and bureaucracy remained her students. Senator Bharucha has served as Provincial Minister of Balochistan between 2000 and 2002, and then in 2003 was elected as Pakistan's first ever minority senator. In the Senate, she served as chairperson to the Standing Health Committee. So we've moved from education, service, children, to help, not forgetting finance. And then a few years later, she again served as caretaker minister in the Balochistan government, and 2018 served as caretaker minister in the federal cabinet. Now, outside of government, respected Senator Bharucha has remained dedicated to social work. And in recognition of her hard work, she's regularly invited to speak at national and international conferences. In addition, she has won several awards. And if Yazdi has stopped sharing screen, I'll share screen so that you can see what she has achieved. The Human Rights Award by Pakistan Human Rights Foundation, Lahore. Social Work Award by the Tariq-e-Niswan, Balochistan. The Girl Guides Award, the commendation from the mayor of Dallas, Texas, in recognition of her efforts to collect medical supplies and funds from the Dallas area in support of earthquake victims in Pakistan. The World Zoroastrian Community Award by the World Zartoshti Chamber of Commerce. So we often think of the WZCC as entrepreneurship, but in reality, it's also promoting community spirit through service. Then the All Asia Presentation Award, and then the Balochistan Excellence Award. Then in 2005, Senator Bharucha founded SOS Villages of Children's Villages of Balochistan, a permanent home for orphaned and abandoned girls and boys, the only one of its kind in the entire province. Currently, the village houses nearly 300 children. It is a private social welfare organization providing orphans and abandoned children a permanent home, love and nurturing, and a quality education so that they have a fair chance in life. So this is Shyotananam in action, just action, to share. So we say in the Yathahu Vairyo Drigubyo, to share with the Drigubyo, the people who need. So this is really the Yathahu Vairyo in action. And it is amazing to note that each child is enrolled in a top-notch school, same as those attended by children of the city's political and military leaders. The first batch of children from this program are now enrolled in university. The children remain in SOS care until they're able to lead independent lives. So this is a program that can be implemented anywhere in the world if we have the knowledge and the wisdom to implement it and the support of people who know how it is done. And we've got similar things in India and around the world. Senator Bharucha endeavors to send the youth through scholarship to foreign countries and wants to make export and import systems for jobless students of Balochistan. In 2010, she founded Hunar, a vocational training center for disadvantaged women, which has trained over 4,500 such individuals. She is still serving as the director of Hunar Foundation in Quetta. As founding and managing director, Senator Bharucha is responsible for general oversight and governance, as well as fundraising and community, press and government relations for Hunar. And since 2015, she served as chairperson of the Pakistan Poverty Alleviation Fund. She also sits on the board of several universities, NGOs, corporations across the country. And in 2018, she was conferred with an award by the World Zartoshti Chamber of Commerce. In addition to her social work, Senator Bharucha dedicates much of her time to caring for her own Parsi community as the General Secretary of the Quetta Parsi Anjuman and Quetta Parsi community since 2010, as the General Secretary of Quetta Sukhar Anjuman. The Parsi community in Quetta has dwindled to a handful of elderly individuals who have no family nearby. So, Senator Bharucha has taken it upon herself to house, feed, and care for them, several in her own home. And she's also opened her home on several occasions to abandoned women and their children who live there for years at a time. During the school holidays, and most children from her orphanage visit their distant relatives, Senator Bharucha opens up her home to those children who don't have such relatives, so they feel they have a family. And when any newborn is brought to the orphanage, our Senator Bharucha keeps the baby in her own home for 6 to 12 months to ensure the baby is well cared for. Doesn't stop there. When wrongly accused women are released from jail, she personally makes an effort to find them accommodation and jobs as they transition back into society. And when elderly and disabled struggle to secure their pensions and medical benefits, she personally intervenes to ensure they receive what is due to them. During Ramadan, She personally collects food from wealthy neighbors and distributes the packages herself to the homes of the needy. And when wrongly accused prisoners cannot pay fines or cancer patients cannot cover their medical bills, Senator Bharucha collects money from wealthy neighbors and serves the people with the proceeds. In her spare time, Senator Bharucha enjoys visiting her 3 children and 6 grandchildren, one of whom actually performed in America on a Zoom call a couple of weeks ago very well, and her other grandchildren in Malaysia and USA. Senator Bharucha envisions a healthy and prosperous Balochistan and Pakistan, and she intends to dedicate the rest of her life to realizing that dream. She says, and it is quoted, "My vision for Pakistan is that of a progressive, educated, dynamic, and peaceful society." Senator Bharucha, we salute you and pray that your vision and mission be filled with a succession of successful successes. You truly are an iconic example of the axiom, one life can make a difference. And you've truly lived up to your name by shining the Roshani of your Roshani on humanity. And with that affirmative sentiment, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm Zartoshti welcome to our very special star of Balochistan, the pride of Pakistan, and a gem of our Zartoshti community, as well as humanity, the respected and honorable Senator Roshan Khurshed Bharucha. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you for this such a lovely introduction. I'm so grateful to you, Karishma, and also to Meher. Thank you very much for inviting me today and for giving me this opportunity to talk on my work. I'm truly, really very much touched. I never expected, living in such a small corner of Balochistan, that my social work would be recognized all the way to the West. Thank you for recognizing, appreciating my social work, for which I am extremely grateful.
Senator, ma'am, I just interrupt you briefly and request you to move slightly back because we'd like to see you as you speak. Apologies for interrupting you.
No, not at all. I would like to begin with one of my favorite quotation. Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. That's what Mother Teresa said. In my introduction, already you have spoken everything what I've been doing, but I would like to tell you something about myself, like choice of wisdom, what we talk. How did I take this turn? Like you said, I was working in GIZ, and I remember once one of my driver had come to me and he told me that the police people has taken his uncle away on just road crossing. I was surprised and I asked him, how can I help you? And he said, the help you can give is, you can come to the police station and talk to the SHO. I'm sure with your talk, he'll be released. Standing there thinking twice, what can I do? So now the choice comes, whether I should go or whether I should not go. But then I decided, no, I should help this poor man. So I went to the police station. I made up my mind, prayed to God, Ashimbo, Vataviryo, because this was the first time I had ever visited the police station. So when I went in, I thought I should be very calm, very polite, but firm. So I talked to the SHO and I told him, on what ground did you hold this man? And tried to explain him, these are poor people and we should not do, we should try to explain them. And so the SHO was kind enough. And when I tried to explain him, he said, okay, since you have come all the way, so I will release him. So he did release. And when I saw that man, tears in his eyes, at that time, standing there, I thought, oh, I can bring a change. I can bring a positive change where I can settle things with the police in a police station. I'm sure I can do a lot of work. So that was my turning point where I decided instead of working, I should go for social work. So I started my social from that day. Anyhow, after praying and doing all that, and 3 words I really believe, good words, good thoughts, and good deeds. if we have good thoughts in our mind, and if we speak good, automatically good deeds are followed. So this is what was in my mind. I remember when I became a minister first time, I had no idea. So the very first day when I took my oath and came out, I saw a van of police behind me. I was really surprised. And I asked him, is he going to follow me? They said, yes, madam, your security. I said, what security? I work for the poor people. I don't think I need any security. Anyhow, that was the very first day when we had a Children's Day that day, and we had a march or parade for the children. So I wanted to participate because I had promised them before, and I had no idea that I'm going to become a minister and take an oath, because it was a sudden thing, change. Anyhow, going into the march, I went there, and all of a sudden I saw a person running towards me, and the policeman tried to stop him. And I told him, why are you stopping him? What's wrong? Let him come to me. He says, no, you can't speak. I said, why? So he says, madam, these people, you never know. You know, your security is more important. I said, no. The talk of that man is more important. I must listen to him. So I stopped and I talked to that gentleman and I asked him, what is the problem? Again, the same thing. He said, the policeman has arrested my man. We have come all the way from Dera Bukti, from a small village. And I just heard that you are a minister. So can you help me? I said, okay, let me finish with this march and then we will go and I will try to help you. So when we finished with the march, I went with him to the police station. Now, my mistake was I told my drivers and my guard, you stay here, let me walk in. I don't want to pressurize them to show them, oh, I'm a minister or something. And it was my very first day. I had no idea. So I, along with that man, walked into, and when I walked into, the SHO with his leg up on the table, I was surprised. And I told him that I've come to you with this man. He didn't know who I am. So he kept on asking, who are you? And without I answering, he told the other gentleman, such people of NGOs keep on coming and worrying us. This man is poor and that man is poor, and release this one and release that one. I was surprised, but I didn't want to tell him who I am. Anyhow, he didn't let me sit and he kept on talking and he wouldn't listen to me. So I said, call your officer, DSP. So first he refused, but then he said, when I insisted, so he called his DSP. As soon as the DSP walked in and he looked at me, he said, oh, Minister Saiba, how are you? The SHO got shocked. And the SHO was looking at me, and the DSP said, did you offer tea to madam? You know who she is. She had been my teacher, and now she's a minister today. She took oath in the morning. And the SHO looked at me, and then he told me, did he offer tea? I said, yes, he did. Was he kind to you? I said, oh, he was very kind to me, though he was not. But I said, no, I shouldn't complain. This is not the way to complain. I did not complain. And I said, no, he was very kind to me. But what is my problem? I said, this gentleman says, because he had, by mistake, he had told them that he had lost his ID CNEC card and that he wanted, he had a duplicate card, and that's why he was arrested. Why do you have two? I said, these are people who are not educated. They don't know anything about it. So why should you arrest people on these small things? No, first they blamed him for drug, which was wrong. Anyhow, I tried to. But I tried to teach that SHO a lesson. Yeah, I don't want to degrade you. You have done a favor. I'm okay. And I praised the DSP. Your SHO was very good and all that. Another incident happened with me. One day I was called into one of our high-up's office. At that time, I was not a minister. Took my vehicle. I had a small Suzuki. So I was stopped on the way and they told me that I cannot go in. I said, I have taken an appointment. I'm a chairperson to it. So he says, no, I'm sorry, madam. You can't go in because our head has gone to meet the governor. I said, give me an appointment. He says, no, madam, we are so sorry. So I just left. But halfway I realized I should have given my name to him. So I went back. I said, I'm Roshan Bharucha. So he said, oh, madam, we were waiting for you. I said, waiting for me? So anyhow, I went in. When I entered there, the general was sitting. He said, madam, you're always on time. We are surprised that today you are late. I told him, And that chap was standing next to me, but I did not complain. I told him, I'm so sorry. On the way, the police stopped my vehicle because my vehicle was small Suzuki. He wanted the big cars to be passed by. And then he told me, now I can go. So I was late. He said, what an idiot that chap must be. I said, I have no idea. When I walked in, that officer looked at me and he told me, Madam, why didn't you give my name? I was the one who was guilty. I said, no, dear. This is how you learn a lesson. Today you did with me. Tomorrow, don't do it with anybody. Ask them questions. Don't do such things. Anyhow, when I told him that my husband was also from the army, he felt more bad. He said, oh, madam, you are my bhabhi. What a great mistake we have done. I said, no, this is a lesson for you. I'm not upset at all. I'm happy what you have done to teach you a lesson. So my theory has been to teach people a lesson. Don't degrade them. Don't do things which we degrade, but teach them a lesson. Anyhow, about my SOS village, yes, it's a sad story. When I was a minister, I visited the prison, and there I saw women who had just given birth to a baby girl, and these two little siblings were there. So I asked the superintendent jail, what about these small children? So he said, oh, the mother is in jail and the children will stay here. I said, children? These small innocent children? He says, yes, we cannot do anything about it. Came home, was really very upset. I said, what can I do? So I tried. We put a case in the High Court. We won the case. We got the children and the mother, but under our security, that nothing wrong should go with the mother and that we are responsible if anything happens. We took a rented house, request the governor of Balochistan. He was kind enough to pay for the rent. That is how we kept the children. There were 3 children and a mother. And those girls, Rizwana, who is now in the university, I feel very happy about it. Now it's 22 years have passed. And that is how now we keep on getting many children. We have over 300 children doing wonderful work, going to one of the best schools of Balochistan and in good universities. They are studying.
Do bear with us. I'm sure once the telephone line is sorted where our Senator Roshan Khurshed Bharucha is, she will be back on Zoom with us. Until then, maybe we can start populating the chat box with some questions, reflect upon what we've heard, and maybe think about what Asho Zarathustra said, I think it was in Yasna 33, to use the power of the tongue, the hizva, for the good of people. And as she also said, to ask the right questions. It is in the Gathas, in Yasnaha 51.5, we say, Vispata peresas ashachitacha gam vidat. To ask all questions so that ashachitacha, in the interest of Asha, gam vidat, for the benefit of the community. With that, over to Roshan ji again.
Sorry, I think I got disconnected. So now our children go to bed. What we have is in every house, we have boys and girls together. So they know that they live as a family, as brothers and sisters. And we have a mother who stays there. So 10 children in one house. And when the boys go at 12, when they're 12, we shift them to a youth hostel. Well, we have to also follow the norms and culture of this province. So we do follow all that. And besides that, I have a hunar. And why I open hunar? Because I thought that the women should have some sort of technical training which could strengthen them, would give them, because when you start earning, you have a better livelihood. You can look after your children. So that is how I opened hunar. I've got a lot of women coming there. One of the women, I asked her question. I said, why do you want to do training? So the very good answer she gave me, she told me why I want to do, because when I learn cutting and stitching from here, and when I go back to my village, and if I start doing this cutting and all and get little money, at least I can get vegetables for my children. It really touched me. These small little things really touch people. But everything, like I told, are 3 words of our religion: good words, good thoughts, and good deeds. And I believe it really gives us strength. Working for humanity. Staying in Balochistan at this moment, we are only 3 Parsi women, no gentlemen. But we have that strength. We have never ever thought that we are minorities. We work on humanitarian, we want to look after the human being and not which religion or which caste or which. We are all answerable to God. I think that we should work together for the poor people, for the poor of the poorest people. Because in the end, we have to leave everything in this world, and we have to go empty-handed. So this is what my belief is. Being in the commission, I'm also in the Minority Commission of Pakistan. There also, this is what I tell them: we should not differentiate us by saying, okay, we are minority or somebody is majority. Let's together do good work. One drop in the ocean will make a difference. If we find that we cannot change anybody, let's change ourselves. Let's do some good work. I think doing good work, small little thing also pays. It's not that we have to do big things. Every small thing also pays you. If you see a smile on somebody's face, I think that is the biggest award. And today my award what God, today's my even later, the award which has given me, I am so pleased today that Vada Dastoor was here and his blessings are there. This award is more important for me than any other award. Frankly speaking, I would say, I tell people when I got the award, all my people came to me and blessed me. I said, no, my award would be a reward from God. What I do here, I hope God accepts. I'm trying my level best to help people, and I hope I in future will be able to do. And I just pray to Havra Mazda that continue to guide me and to give me strength to work on the righteous path and to help other people and touch the lives on daily basis of poor people. Today, I feel so grateful to Havra Mazda for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much, all of us. There are a lot of stories, but I've been told that I should only talk for 7 minutes. Otherwise, I have stories after stories for poor people. And I would love that we, all of us, we should do practical work. I feel practical work on ground is more important. Preaching is easy. Preaching, everybody can preach, but practicing is difficult. This is what I tell my people. Don't preach, start doing work, go forward to do practical work. Touch the heart of poor people, please. This is what I want. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Thank you, Dr. Saab. Thank you, Jarbe. I'm so happy to meet you today. And thank you, Meher. Thank you very much. And I'm sure all your blessings of everyone will take me a long way. Thank you.
Our respected Roshan, Khurshed, Bharucha, happy birthday to Uncle today. And thank you for showing us what a true Vastar, and we all pray it in the Ahonavar. You have shown us what that means. And incidentally, the word Vastarem means caretaker. The word for what the WZCC, the World Dasturji Chamber of Commerce, helps us work on is also entrepreneurship. They're tied very, very carefully together. Social, economic, and intellectual entrepreneurship, which our Roshanji has embodied. Each one of your stories is really a pattern, a model, an eye-opener that we can then take, learn from, and then implement wherever we are in the world. And I would like to invite you, if possible, to do a legacy on your life. And I'll be in touch with you for that, Auntie, if I may.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very grateful to Baba Meher for putting this wonderful panel of speakers together. As Keshwar has talked to us, we have the choice to make from education, through our career, through how we use that. As Roshanji has said, every day is a choice that we have to use for the betterment of people. As Manekji has explained, we need to work with our seniors, ask them questions and take advice. As our Vada Dasturji Sahib and our Ervad Sahib have taught us, all these principles are in the prayers, are in the gathas, are in every aspect of the religion, humanitarian, universal, all the way from education through social to entrepreneurial adventures. And we can hear Vada Dasturji again at the World Zoroastrian Congress in July. So I hope you all will register if possible and contribute your might to the universal future. With that, I'd like to open the floor with gratitude to our Yazdi Tantraji for supporting us and taking us and spotlighting everybody as required. He goes through a lot to support these sessions. We have the first comment. We'll mix things up as comments and questions come. We've got the first comment from Sam Villimoria saying, we are chosen ones, yes, laying foundations for Abrahamic religions. Through evidence for that, DBC has a great documentary on this obscure religion, which has shaped the Western civilization. Please feel free to put your hands up so you can read out your own comments. I can't see Sam Villimoria, so I haven't called upon him. There's a comment from Adel Davar. I know Adel is here, so if you'd like to unmute and give us his comment in person, you're most welcome.
I wasn't really wanted to make a comment personally, but I found Dasturji's comments very profound, very simple, easy to understand, and wonderful. And as I mentioned, we are looking forward to meeting him personally in New York in July. I'd also like to mention that Roshan Bharucha was the recipient of the WZCC Social Entrepreneurship Award. So she is the social entrepreneur, and she walks the talk, and that's what entrepreneurs do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Adel. We have a comment from P.N. Mirza, who says he tries to read the Gatha's translations during Gatha days as he's not very fluent in reading Gujarati. While we continue to take questions, Rustam, if you'd like to unmute yourself at some point, raise your hand. Yazdi can then find you. You can give your own comment in a moment. I'd like to ask a question to Vada Dasturji Sahib, if I may, and then hand over to Rustam for his comment. Vada Dasturji Sahib, what advice do you have for us around the world in these days of segregation so that we can integrate? So Baba Meher has come up with the concept of integration within segregation. We really need your guidance. There are so many changes in the world.
First and foremost, Karishma, we have to, as Roshan Bharucha said, that if people don't change, we have to change ourselves. If we start doing that, we will get respect from others. We don't try to enforce ourselves on everybody. We don't try to enforce our thoughts on anybody. We try to speak the language of Zarathustra as he has proclaimed himself in the Gathas. Let each man be for himself. Let them choose with the guidance. Let them choose with his own mind. But for that mind, there has to be a wisdom to choose. If we choose to correct things in our life, if we connect ourselves properly, then let us spread the religion of brotherhood. Let us spread the religion of unity. Let us spread the religion of humanity. That is more important in today's world, rather than just trying to be one up on ourselves or one up on somebody else. That will bring us more and more close. As we all know that we are dwindling in numbers, we are very few in numbers. So that makes us, on the contrary, more and more vulnerable to the outside world. But the qualities which this community has produced up till now, and in what it will be in future, and I'm sure that we as Zoroastrians will be never ending and we will never die. Our Zoroastrianism will always remain, as is said in the Dasturji, as the Vaishtacha, Shareshtacha, the best religion in the world. Thank you, Karishma.
Thank you very much, Vada Dasturji Sahib. Yes, truly the first religion. Some people say the first humanists in the world. Some people say the universal concepts of the Zarathushti Daina. Daina, incidentally, everyone, you all know, means consciousness and the path and the religion. So all that Vada Dasturji Sahib has actually told us today applies in so many ways. Yes, Rustam, you're spotlighted by Yazdi.
I don't know. I wasn't prepared to speak, but anyway, just to add to our Vada Dasturji Sahib and all the other Mobeds who have emphasized the importance of making the right choices, I just remembered a little slogan that Farokh Mistry, who used to take our Sunday school, used to always remind us, keep your mind polished. Polish your mind. That was always say that. And if you have the wisdom and if you have a good mind, you make good choices. Thank you.
Very good.
Great one, Rustam. Thank you very much. And thank you, Farokh. We have a couple of questions. Before that, we have a comment from Mernaz Demri. If you want to come up, please raise your hand. She calls Roshan Bharucha ji such a beautiful lady with a big heart. Absolutely so.
Thank you.
We've got Parvez Bangara saying, very inspiring. If you're here, just raise your hand. You can read out your own comment. I'll give you a moment. Very inspiring and encouraging words of wisdom, quote unquote, from the two young amazing Zoroastrians, Yazad Bhadha and Keshwa Merchant. Very interesting and noteworthy presentations. Kudos to Senator Bharucha too, for all the selfless service and kind heart. Best of wishes and Mazda's blessings to all. Manek Bhujwala ji says, you're here, so would you like to say what you want to say to Roshan ji? Okay, I'll do it. It says, we're thankful to the Senator for keeping the name of Zarathustra in the Parsi community honorable. Geeta has a question. Geeta, if you're here, otherwise I'll read it out for you. Okay. Geeta Baramipur says, she's an Iranian lady, thank you for your teachings. What are the practices for raising our consciousness and awareness or awareness? There's another question, but I'll take that together with the second question. What is the purpose that we shall all know ourselves? Would any of our speakers like to address this? And then we'll come to Katie. We'll come to you, ma'am.
Can you repeat the question?
The question says, Vada Dasturji Sahib. That's another lady. Katie is another lady.
No.
Vada Dasturji said, the question is, what are the practices for raising our consciousness and our awareness?
Practices to raise ourselves is to follow the path of Asha. Once you follow the path of Asha, and as said by one of the speakers, I think Roshan ma'am, that if you have good thoughts in your mind and the good words, as I think Yazad Bhadha said that, the good thoughts in your mind and good words on your mouth, the good deeds are automatically going to come. And with all those good vibes or whatever good you do in this world, your respect, yourself, your soul, the Urvan, is going to get enlightened. And that is the way when you can be one with our Master. And the second question was, sorry.
The second question says, what is the purpose that we shall know ourselves? I think she means what is the purpose of ourselves, which we will come to know. What is the purpose of our life? What is the purpose of ourselves?
Our life is, as Auramaza said, to attain the maximum wisdom, the wisdom of the right choice, which is the topic of today. With the choice of wisdom, we have to attain wisdom. We have to give happiness. That is what we are brought here. That is why we are blessed in this world. And to correct our own mistakes rather than the others' mistakes. That is how we will grow.
Thank you.
And
Vanada.
also and I feel also to serve people.
Yes.
Our greatest thing would be to serve people.
That is to give happiness to others.
Yeah, that's true.
Happiness unto him who gives happiness to others.
That's Yasna 43.1. Ervat Sahib, Yazad Bhadha, over to you.
In order to give happiness to others, one should be happy from within. Because if we are happy from within, then only we can spread happiness. And that through that, the inculcation of the goodness takes place. So one should be happy from within to do good. And once you do good, automatically you will strive on achieving and doing good for the humanity.
Right, yes.
Thank you, Ervat Sahib Yazad. It brings me to something our Ervat Sahib Zarir Bhandara once said. The concept of 43.8 Kiche Yazad Ervat Sahib Zarir, Tushnamaitish. Do you want to just comment on Tushnamaitish for us to complete the discussion? Can we unmute first? Okay.
Sorry.
Ervat Sahib Zarir Bhandara from California once told me about the concept of Tushnamaitish, introspection, contemplative meditation. Do enlighten us, Ervat Sahib Zarir.
When we are doing prayers, when we are in meditative prayers, per Farvandin and Ushtavaiti Gatha, the Tushnamaiti, the Tushna is the meditative thought. And when we let go of our conscious monkey mind, we get into touch with the superconscious. And that is when we get wisdom and bliss, a true happiness. That's what Yazad Bhadha was talking about, and Dasturji Sahib, Dasturji Khurshed, Dastoor was talking about the inner happiness, that when you get that inner happiness, you spread that happiness to others. That is what it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zarir Sahib. If Dolly Dastoor is here, she has a comment for Senator Roshan. Dolly Auntie, are you here? Would you like to read it out yourself? Oh.
Thank you very much, Senator Roshan, for giving us this very inspiring and touching speech, because it means so much more to each of us than what all we hear from our scholars or from our priests or what. But this comes from your heart. This comes from your practical experience. This comes from what you have achieved. And so we are so very grateful for what you've done and for sharing it with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And with that, we'd also like to give gratitude to each one's parents and the priests who have nurtured the minds of people like Roshanji from their childhood. The Dasturjis, the Agyaris that have given these good minds and built that emotional resilience. And somebody like Roshanji who's alone in the wilderness, building society from nothing to a beautiful garden. The garden of the mind. As Keshwar said, I think, Keshwar, it was you who said, yesterday was Seesde Bedar, which is the 13th day, as Dr. Behram Pastakia had explained to me, after Navroz, where we put the plants back into the waters. Plants that have been grown as he is, I don't know if Behram is still here, but as plants that have been grown without any soil in the Iranian culture of allowing their roots to intertwine and build fellowship. And Roshanji, you are doing this. You are cultivating the minds of those people, the Ba-Humata, of children who would otherwise be deprived and may have turned to wrongdoing. Would you like to say anything more about this?
Thank you. Behind this, my own thing is also, if we train that is what I also wanted. When small children, leaving them on our doors, and just 2 days old and 6 days old, I've seen a small little boy his mother and father had a love marriage and they ran away and got married, and that's not in the culture of Balochistan. So what they did was both the mother and the father were killed, and this 5 days old child was brought to us. Today is in class 6, so well. So I really feel at least he is given a place where he can live, and he's got a proper shelter, a proper education and everything. So I feel otherwise, where would these small children go? So when you hear each story of each child, then we feel that this world of beautiful houses and vehicle and money is nothing in front. When that is where my inner happiness, to help those poor children and to give them a proper living, because I tell them that you will be the future. Today I'm looking out, tomorrow you will have to look. So I have to train them, that we create sustainability into them and make them good citizens, a loving, caring children. And that is what I want. One of the little boy asked me one day, he said, aren't you happy that this whole SOS is built up on 5 acres? I said, no, I'm not happy. He said, why? These beautiful houses you don't like? I said, no, houses don't make you happy. Robbers and smugglers can also make a house. It is when you study and when you become good officers, a good citizen, a good human being, that is my success. Not building houses is not my success at all. So I want you to be a human being. That's my success in life.
This is the aim of Ba-Humata as well.
Very beautifully said.
Very
and today, Vada
beautifully
Dasturji
said.
Sahib has also referred to the concept of choosing a spouse with the wisdom of the good mind. And indeed, Asho Zarathustra says in Yasna 53.5, Sakveni vezyam nabyo kainibyo mromish maibyacha vaidemno. So even the good mind is to be used from everything from love to creating a family. And it says to outshine each other, vivangatu, the outshining of each other in light of Asha and Vahumano, even in marriage. So that, I mean, God bless you for bringing up children who don't have homes and who don't have the loving nurturing of their mothers and fathers in a good marriage.
And I'm proud to be a mother of 300 children.
Wonderful.
Almighty Anand Sagar, if you're here, please raise your hand. Or somebody called Ba-Humata. We are very fortunate that somebody has called themselves Ba-Humata. Almighty Anand Sagar says, so true, Mrs. Roshan Bharucha. That is why I do something every day. Very true. The person who calls himself Ba-Humata says, a good human being, so humble and hospitable. True. Manek Bhujwala ji says, he refers to avastha.org, which is here. Putli, good job, organizers. Thank you very much. Kudos. Touched by Senator's good deeds. Rustam Engineer commends the webinar. And Mr. Amalsad, thank you. Thank you to the whole team. As Baba Mer says, a dream team makes things come true. Geeta Berampur says, please thank my teachers on my behalf. Now, before we end, if anybody would like to say anything, each one of you is entrepreneurship in your own area. Please feel free to share, ask a question.
Just want to thank the organizers for giving us this opportunity to speak. I'm so grateful to all of you and to our other Dastoor and the organizers and everybody, all the Dastoors and all. I'm really very grateful to you all. And we'll follow whatever our Dastoors and our other Dastoor said, and we will follow on your footpath. We will definitely do that. It's so encouraging.
Thank you very much to each of our speakers. If any of the speakers wants to have a final word before we close, please go ahead.
I had a question for Roshan. Bharucha, I do a lot of volunteer work.
Who's this?
And
Anand
from Canada, Jaruanti. a lot of people question my motives. Even my family sometimes says, "I badu chori jave kai dharam na dhakela khaij," in these exact words. So I am just wondering how you combated that, because sometimes people don't understand what you're trying to do. And I always am out and about and busy every day when I haven't worked since 1985. So they have said, "Tune su kaam chhe, tu to kaam dhanda nathi karti." But my volunteer work keeps me busy. And I tell people that if it is a paid job and you don't do it, they will hire somebody. But if it is a volunteer job and you don't do it, nobody is going to step up to do it. You have to fulfill what you have taken up. So how did you manage to answer these people?
This is the same topic of today, choice with wisdom. So I took that as it. I choose what I feel good. And, so in social work, for your family, for your grandchildren, for your own family, everybody does it. It is when you do for others. The main thing is doing for others. For family, everybody, and you're doing wonderful, and you should continue to do. The more social work you'll do, the more young you will remain. So keep on doing and take blessings of Havra Mazda. And don't listen to it. Keep your own choice. That's why today they have given us this good topic, choice of wisdom. So use that and don't lose this opportunity. Keep on doing your good work and remain young.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, as we approach the end of this program, we have a request from our Yazad Bhadha. I had requested him to do the final Tandarusti prayer, the final benediction. And he has put in a request, Vada Dasturji Sahib, the requests to you never end and you always fulfill. And I hope you will fulfill Yazad Sahib's request today for a Tandarusti between you and him. Is that possible?
Yazad will do it. Yazad will lead the prayer. Come on.
Thank you.
The greatness of leadership is to empower the youth.
So
And that is another purpose of Ba-Humata. So with gratitude to all the seniors of everyone present here today, all the Ashavans, all the teachers of our Mobed Sahibs and our Bedins, to everybody who comes together in a fellowship, let us celebrate Sizde Bedar of the plant world in the fellowship of humanity to build a collective consciousness so that we can all empower each other, both in our mind and in our hands.
Yazad.
And in our tongues.
And in our tongues. Over to you.
Yatahu Vairyo Tatatosh Kashachi Hacha Vangeosh Tastamlingam Shautanam Angeosh Mastai Shatrim Sham Orai Imrekupyo Tadat Vastari Yatahu Vairyo Tatatosh Kashachi Hacha Vangeosh Tastamlingam Shautanam Angeosh Mastai Shatrimcha Haurai Imdrikupyo Tadat Vastari Tandarosti Derjivashni Avayan Koreanga Ashedan Yazdane Minoan Yazdane Getian Haftamesha Spandan Yazdaroshan Ameberesa In Dwabao In Kwabao Amandar Kasara Zartoshirin Shatpa Aidun Bao Diabari Kudavan Dealundra Manjumanra Samastan Jumanra Afarsandan Hazarusan Der Bedar Sat Bedar Tandarosti Bedar Aidun Bedar Bar Sare Arzanian Salare Pesha Vakarnai Beshuman, Pakivam Payam Dedar, Zarazan Afrinba, Sal Kudasteba, Roj Parukpa, Nama Barakpa, Chandasa, Chandaro, Chandama, Deshatsal, Zanida, Yadashne, Nyayashne, Paradi, Vasobarasna Shaidar, Avare Man Karum Kerfura, Tandarostipa, Nekipa, Upa, Aidunba, Aidunba, Payastan, Vameshaspandan, Kamipa, Shaune, Shimbo, Vaistamasti, Ushtasti, Ushtama, Yadashyan, Vahistai, Thank you. Thank you very much. Atasamiyadita Minami.
Our deepest gratitude to you, Arvat Sahib Yazad, Dasturji Sahib, Bada Dasturji Khurshed Dastoor, our Manek Bhujwala ji, Roshan ji, Keshwar, the whole team, Yazdi and Baba Meher, and all those present here today. May you all continue to grow and spread the messages of Asho Zarathustra and how they may be implemented in our everyday life, from our own work to our entrepreneurial activities in all aspects of life. Hamazor, Hamasho.